Hi, welcome to week 9. This week we're going to start talking about some of the ideas presented in Teach Like a Champion in Chapter 6, setting and maintaining high behavioral expectations in your classroom. So at this point in the year, you're probably noticing that students are starting to test behavior norms in your classroom a little bit more than they were at the beginning of the year. Totally normal, totally traditional. It's also a time of year where if you look at that phases of first year teaching graph that I gave you, that teachers start to fall in this kind of disillusionment phase in teaching where they're exhausted. It's time for a break. Everyone's sort of, you know, overwhelmed by the amount of work they have to do and the demands of teaching on a day-to-day basis. So that sets up a climate for students starting to test their boundaries. Now, it's also this kind of time where if teachers don't start showing, if they didn't show in the beginning of the year, you're going to see that students perceiving this idea of teacher control as being sort of arbitrary and something to fight against. And I think it's really important to set up in the beginning of the year as a teacher a power structure or a classroom management structure in which students understand that their behavior is about their success and not your need for control or power over them. So some of the ways you can do that are by implementing some of the techniques in Chapter 6. So I don't want you to read the whole Chapter 6 this week. I only want you to focus on the first 3 techniques. Technique 36, which is 100%. I think 100% is a really valuable technique, and it's one that requires a lot of discipline on the part of the teacher. And one of the most perfect examples of 100% that you can do that should be done on a day-to-day basis is when you give your signal for silence, you're making sure that your students are 100% compliant. Now, the importance of 100% compliance that you'll read, but really quickly, is this idea that you want your students to know that when you ask for them to do something, 100% of the students must do it before you'll move on to your next thing. So if you accept less than that, like, oh, a majority of my students are ready to go, I'm going to continue on with my lesson, then you're sending the message that your authority is kind of subject to interpretation. And then you also get this, what the author calls this toxic culture of only the good kids do what are asked. And I think that it's really important for you to make sure that 100% of the students are doing what you ask 100% of the time. So there's also some video clips, watch those, and then there's going to be 2 essential questions this week. I want you to answer both of them, and you do not need to reply to a classmate's forum post. So you're going to reply to 2 essential questions this week instead of the traditional format, which was responding to only one and then replying to a classmate. So I would just like 2 responses. So the first essential question is going to ask you to take these techniques and think about something you've observed inside the classroom or even outside of the classroom in which you've seen trouble starting and it hasn't gotten stopped, and then what the consequences of that was, and then also what do you think after reading these techniques could have been a better approach that might have stopped that behavior before it got out of control. Or you can choose to select a time when you've seen someone intervene too forcefully and it's been detrimental to either the student or the situation, and then describe how you would have done that one better. Finally, looking at the second essential question that I'd like you to look into is trying to take some specific things that teachers say a lot in the classroom, some certain phrases, and then trying to specifically reframe them in a more positive and productive frame, especially when you think about the what to do technique and the strong voice, when you think about the power of your words as a teacher and how they can affect student behavior, thinking about ways to positively frame requests especially for defiant students, and how that language can affect your classroom management. So I look forward to reading your posts, and I hope you have a great week.